Hi, everyone. It's Karen Pickett again. Thanks for joining me here. I wanted to say a little bit more about what is a body focus process addiction, and then share a little bit more. And so we came up with a formula basically body focus process addiction equals body focused repetitive behavior plus addiction science. So basically, it's BFPA equals BFRB plus dopamine. That's like an easy way to say addiction science. There is absolutely emerging research that shows that a lot of behaviors are activate the dopamine system in the brain and lead to a continuation of the behavior even after the gains are no longer felt. It's very powerful, our dopamine system. And if you are aware of this, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, there's a lot of great research out. And I'll talk more about it in upcoming videos about what happens to our neurochemistry when we engage in certain behaviors. So, again, even though I've been talking about how to break habit chains and habit reversal training, that's addresses the BFRB, the body focused repetitive behavior. That's definitely a part of the recovery. That's important to look at. It's important to get a handle on what your triggers are, what your patterns are, and to be able to consciously, set an intention to interrupt those patterns. The dopamine that is associated with your process addiction is going to keep screaming at you to keep engaging with the behavior. And that process of unraveling those neural pathways is can take time. And I know as a recovered skin picker that absolutely it took time and that recovery is absolutely possible. Um, so again, it's up to you to decide what recovery looks like. Um, I define it for myself. You get to define it for yourself. So the part of what happens is that our brains develop pathways, for lack of a better term. It's like think of the neural pathways from your fingertip to your brain. Okay, so let's say your fingertip with picking or pulling, scratching, that kind of a thing. It's a superhighway. It's developed into a superhighway. So the you think about doing the behavior and boom, the pathways start lighting up, the dopamine gets activated, you're looking forward to the behavior. So what we want to do over time is to take those superhighways, neural pathways, and turn them into an overgrown path. The path might always still be there somewhere, but we want to turn it into an overgrown path. And the way to do that through neuroplasticity is to change behaviors. Um, so that's why we always talk about changing your behavior, changing your habit chain, being aware of what you're doing, looking at your patterns, logging, things like that, because it is important for most people to recognize these things in order to be able to change them. One thing that's important to remember is that actually most people don't know this, but at least people when I talk to them, they feel happy when I share this with them, and it is the truth that you once you start moving forward towards recovery, if you think of yourself as being on a one-way highway, okay, that you're moving towards recovery. So whenever you engage in your BFPA, BFRB, um, and you take an exit off that one-way highway, just think of it as a temporary exit, even if it lasts a year, right? It's still a temporary exit. You get back on, you haven't lost the recovery and what you've learned about yourself in that time since you started your recovery journey to now. I know that a lot of times people feel like, well, I've tried to stop so many times and I can't. So what are you talking about with this one-way highway? I don't have a highway. I'm, backpedaling. And it may seem that way, but it's actually not true because in addition to changing your behavior, you're also changing your conscious awareness. You're changing how you respond to emotions. You're learning things about yourself all the time when you're on an active recovery journal, even if that's just a journey, even if that's just journaling, even if that's just being aware of what you're doing, even if that's just talking to somebody about what you're doing and sharing your feelings about it. Um, all of those things are part of the recovery process. It may not result in less engagement with the BFPA right away. And that's what I think is really difficult. And the dopamine response in our brains to the behaviors absolutely is a very powerful force that keeps us engaged. But we can overcome it. And I want to say anybody who feels hopeless, I just want to say you've heard this probably before, but I there is hope, and we want to help you find the best way for you to reach your recovery goals. So visit us at bodyfocusprocessaddictions.com, and I'll see you next time.